As a parent, I was the worst at this, but I was definitely able to turn it around. So I promise you the topic of grazing is more of a habit than necessity. So what is it? It's basically snacking to the point of never being fully hungry, like cattle out to pasture, just grazing away at the grass all day long. So let's talk about hunger. I may hit some super emotional triggers here, and if you have been traumatized by forced hunger in your past, my deepest apologies for approaching the subject. But hunger is not familiar with everyone. Oh sure, we do diets and we say I'm always hungry on the diet, but true hunger, where you don't know where your next meal is coming from versus dieting, is very different. There's not a parent out there whose child hasn't cried, "I'm starving," but in most situations, it's a very disturbing and over-exaggerated plea for a mildly uncomfortable feeling. Hunger is very real for a great deal of people, but many of us have never truly felt its pain. And the moment we start creeping into that arena of hunger, we panic and eat. And often it's because we're thirsty for hydration, aka water, and our body interprets it as hunger. Because food is so convenient, we get food easily. And imagine what was involved when you had to go out and hunt for your food, light a fire, slow cook it to make it edible. Imagine the delay in baking bread, to have to first grind the grains and let it rise and then bake it. A lot is being understood now about the benefits of fasting and intermittent fasting, but we are not going to touch that subject. It's not where we're headed. I only bring it up because when I began fasting, I had no idea what I was feeling. It was beyond being hungry. It was miserable, jittery, and at times nauseating, but it unfolded so many benefits, namely to help me recognize that if I miss a meal, I'm going to be okay. There are certainly health problems that would prompt the need to eat more regularly, but for adults, we benefit in many ways by being hungry and then indulging in the satisfaction of a big meal. Children need to eat more. Often the younger the child, the more often they need food because their tummies can only hold so much. In relating this to parenting, I know no one wants a hungry child, just like my partner doesn't want a hangry Betsy. He'll make sure I have brought food in some situations simply because I'm horrible to be around when I've gone too long between meals. But with trained parenting wisdom and preparedness, we bring along containers of crackers and Cheerios, and each time the child gets uncomfortable, we hand them a snack. And then when it's mealtime, they aren't hungry until their food is cold and then they don't want it. So it gets tossed, and then 2 hours later, they're hungry again. So they eat more snacks and never sit down to really eat an actual meal. Now, before we condemn the kiddos or even yourself, if you're a chronic snacker, we need to have a conversation about why we get hungry. Our bodies are super smart. They know exactly what it needs to thrive, and it screams out, hey, I need vitamins and minerals and healthy fats and protein. And then you hand it microwave popcorn and say, too bad, I want to eat this. So you quiet your body for a bit with a huge dose of simple carbs, but you don't give it what it needs. So an hour later, it's like, excuse me, like I really need healthy fats, vitamins, minerals, and some amino acids could be helpful. And so it goes. Your hunger is always knocking on the door until you answer it with what it really needs. And then if you don't give it what it needs, it really doesn't go away, so you're always hungry. So in response to what is a healthy snack, the answer is a food packed with nutrition. Not fortified with nutrition, but loaded with natural nutrients such as vitamins, minerals, amino acids, healthy fats such as coconut oil, olive oil, butter. Okay, I'm digressing. Let's go back to grazing. We'll talk about nutrition more later. keep those snacks healthy. And if you're making dinner, do not bring out sugar-filled snacks. If a little one is hungry right before dinner, and by little, I'm not talking about a baby. For goodness sake, please feed your baby when baby's hungry, or even a small, tiny toddler. But if it's before dinner and the introduction of sugar to the body will make it crash right before the dinner comes, then there's no motivation for chicken and broccoli. It's gone out the window. And what should you do if they insist it's sugar or nothing? Yeah, nothing. This is where boundaries and rules need to be introduced. If you're cutting up broccoli for dinner, offer them raw pieces. If you're putting together a salad, and have them nibble on some of what you're adding. If the dinner is cooking and it smells great, but it's not ready, allow a handful of something nutritious, but not the whole bag, just to nibble, to hold them over. Cheese is one of those foods that people use to appease their appetite. And cheese can be great if it's real cheese with enzymes and naturally made. And cheese, often packaged for kids, is not good. Think like the French do when it comes to cheese. They wouldn't be caught dead with Velveeta. But if you're using cheese to hold them over until dinner, then only a small amount. You can't expect a child to fill up on cheese and then sit down to a dinner. But a couple of bites will get rid of the hunger pain. Another offer should be a glass of water. So many of us eat because we're thirsty and we don't interpret it as thirst. Hydration is so incredibly important. It never hurts to ask a child to have a glass of water before they have a snack. It's likely they will eat a lot less if they've had hydration first. Overall, grazing is habitual, and it's not that it can never happen, it just shouldn't be the only way we eat.